Well, hi everybody. Happy to be here. Happy Monday. I'm Melissa C. I'm a recovered compulsive overeater in New York, and yeah, really good to be here tonight. So last time I spoke, we started going through the AA 12 and 12, and there are three parts to this step. There's I'll kind of catch you up to where we left off, but I'll do a quick review. So, step 12 is having had a spiritual awakening as the result of these steps. We tried to carry this message to alcoholics, in our case, compulsive eaters, and to practice these principles in all our affairs. So, there's three parts to the step. One is the spiritual awakening. Two is the carrying the message to other addicts. And three is the practicing of these principles in all our affairs. And so it's not just sponsorship. Like that's just one third of it. So, I'm gonna do like a quick recap because the spiritual awakening, when people ask, like, what is it? I'm just gonna kind of read quickly what it says on page 107. Um, it says, when a man or woman has had a spiritual awakening, the most important meaning of it is that he has now become able to do, feel, and believe that which he could not do before on his unaided strength and resources alone. He has been granted a gift, which amounts to a new state of consciousness and being. He has been set on a path which tells him he's really going somewhere, that life is not a dead end, not something to be endured or mastered. In a very real sense, he has been transformed. And then it further goes on to say that he finds himself in a possession of a degree of honesty, tolerance, unselfishness, peace of mind, and love of which he had thought himself quite incapable. And when I read that, I think, okay, as a compulsive eater, it doesn't say anything in there about thinness, about weight loss. And when I think about that, it doesn't mean that we don't get that. It doesn't mean that we don't get the physical, transformation, whether it's a healthy sized body. But I think, my gosh, my dreams were so small. My goals for recovery were so tiny compared to what we get. We get this relationship with a creator. And now we're able to do, think, and feel things that we could never do on our own strength, on our own ability. That's what it means to have a spiritual awakening. And then two is the carrying the message to the other addicts out there, to other people out there. And for really specific directions on how to do that, that's where we read it in the big book, in the chapter working with others, because it is very clear how we carry the message. And, and through sponsorship, it's something that, yes, we'll share the directions with sponsees, but we model it. We actually do it. So as whenever I'm working with someone, um, I call their attention to, I'm doing this really right outside of the book. Like, I want you to know that the conversations we're having, like, this is really the directions that I'm being given, that I want to keep calling people's attention that it's not something we make up as we go along. It really is clear how to do it. And I think I say that because I want to reassure people, in the sense that very often I've come into contact with people who say, I don't really know how to sponsor. Like, I've been through the steps and I'm not really sure what to do. And and yet we really do have clear directions. If you were brought through through the big book according to the directions, um, you've been given clear directions for how to do it, right? But again, I also always say, like, I think it's a good thing for a sponsor to help their sponsee when they are newly sponsoring. It's not like we just release you and say, go to it. see you later, have a nice day. It's we help one another. It's we have questions. If we're sponsoring someone and something comes up, we're supposed to have the humility to say to the sponsee, you know what? I'm not sure. I'm going to check with my sponsor on this, or I'm going to pause on this if I don't know the answer, right? Let me just wait a minute. So, I just want to offer that as reassurance, right? That piece of step 12 is the carrying of the message to other alcoholics, compulsive eaters. And again, it's not solely through sponsorship alone. There are many ways that we carry the message. I think carrying the message is also living the message, being an example, being someone who shows up recovered, who looks and sounds and embodies the spiritual principles is a way that we carry the message. I've heard it like carry the message, use words when necessary, right? But really, it's the example, it's a living example. Okay. And now the third part to this incredible step is the practicing the principles in all our affairs. And in the AA 12 and 12, 14 pages alone are devoted, which of that chapter on the third part of step 12 is the practicing the principles in all our affairs. And, on page 111, it says, now comes the biggest question yet. What about the practice of these principles in all our affairs? And, last time I did talk about what are these affairs? Well, one is our family. Can we carry the same spirit of love and tolerance? Here it says, into our sometimes deranged family lives that we bring to the AA group. Can we have the same kind of confidence and faith in these people who have been infected and sometimes crippled by our own illness that we have in our sponsors? And when I read that, I think I've often found it easier to cut fellows some slack than it is for my own family. And here we're kind of cautioned about that. Like our families were told we have to have love, tolerance, confidence, and faith. It's a pretty tall order. Okay. The other affairs they talk about is the job, is our whatever your occupations are, because we're bringing it into our occupations. Can we actually carry the AA spirit into our daily work? And I think about it like this in my daily work. What is the AA spirit? Constantly thinking of others. Like in the workplace, do I do things in my workplace so that I get credit, so that I get accolades, so that I get to be somebody? Or am I really doing these things to be helpful and useful? And that's the spirit that they're talking about here. 3, the world at large. Can we meet our newly recognized responsibilities to the world at large? So, what are our new responsibilities? Like, if I'm going to have to bring that out into the whole world, I need to know what are my responsibilities? Well, it's to live in agreement with God's will and to demonstrate that we have been restored to happy and productive lives, that we can contribute and not just take. And, we can practice that everywhere in the world at large, from the simple thing to the grocery store to, dropping your kids off, some of us at the carpool lane. I remember when my kids were little, what does it mean to demonstrate, to be productive, to demonstrate contribution and not just take? Do I honk my horn, aggressively? Do I wait my turn? It's really, this program is so much more than just put the food down, right? It's actually, that's like abstinent, I think about it, my behavior has to be abstinent behavior. I have to show up in the world like someone, you know, we're God's representatives. That's what it means when I took step 3, that I turned my will and my life over to the care of God, and that I agreed that He was the principal and I was His agent, that I was going to do what I believed God would have me do. And this we can do to the world at large, with the world at large. And then it says, okay, how about the religion that we chose? Can we now bring the new purpose and devotion to the religion of our choice? So we really are encouraged to grow, not just spiritually within this program, but to seek, whatever your religion is, whatever your spiritual beliefs are, but bring purpose and devotion to there as well. It further says that we know that life is made up of times where we experience failure as well as success. And can we experience failure without despair? Can we have achievement without growing prideful? Page 112 says, explains how it is that we can fall short. Well, it says, okay, our troubles first begin with indifference. We're sober and happy with our OA work or our AA work. Things are going well at home and the office, and we naturally congratulate ourselves on what later proves to be far too easy and superficial point of view. We temporarily cease to grow because we feel satisfied that there's no need for all of the AA steps for us. We're doing fine with just a few of them, right? So we recover, and now we're like, all right, I don't really have to do everything. And, in the slang terms, they call it, doing the first step and the 12 step, and they call it two-stepping, right? So it's like, oh, I'm abstinent, my food is down, I have a good food plan, and I'm sponsoring, like, and nothing else, right? And they say here that can go on, maybe that can go on with someone for years, right, of doing very little. But what happens is that we feel life is dull and we become disappointed by just our regular small lives. And this is really dangerous. I would say if you're wondering if you're heading in that direction, ask yourself, are you being consistent with your nightly review? Are you really looking to grow spiritually? Are you just doing the bare minimum? If every night you do a nightly inventory like it's a checklist, right? Like, oh, no resentment, no fear, no harm, nothing I can improve on. Really? Really? Right? So the great danger is that our disease is progressive. We're told it's progressive, and coasting will not outrun the avalanche that will eventually come. It's called life, right? Because eventually we all get a big catastrophe. Like we all get something. It's part of the human experience, right? So page 113 says, what then? Well, have we alcoholics? Can we get the resources to meet these calamities, which come to so many? Can we transform these calamities into assets, sources of growth and comfort to ourselves and those about us? Well, we surely have a chance if we switch from two-stepping to 12-stepping, right? So we've got to live all the 12 steps. Page 114, our basic troubles are the same as everyone else's. But when an honest effort is made to practice these principles in all our affairs, well-grounded AAs seem to have the ability to, by God's grace, to take these troubles in stride and turn them into demonstrations of faith. And I have, like anybody, right? I've experienced life's difficulties, issues with my kids, the passing of my mom, my job at times, and I would say, like, I have my notes here, like, my gosh, the pandemic. And I think because that's really when I first really started studying this particular text deeply. I started really looking at the AA 12 and 12. I wanted to study something. And I think, you know, I noticed during the pandemic, I'll give that example, that those of us who had a strong working steps experience, that were really active in the steps at that time, we experienced the pandemic very differently than people who were not. I've witnessed it from people I worked with. There were two ways, right? We were teaching in my building, we were all teaching virtually. And I know, like, no, like, I'm so great, right? This is like all glory to God, right? But if I really believe that I'm supposed to practice these principles in all my affairs, when I was teaching virtually, I treated it the same way as if I was in the classroom. I didn't stay in my pajamas all day. To me, that was not a woman of recovery. To teach in my bathrobe just did not feel like that's what God would really want me to do. And I treated it like I was showing up to work. I got dressed, whether the kids saw what I was wearing on the rest of me or not, I knew it. And I believed that it was aligned with living these principles. I put myself together. I got dressed. I put my makeup on. I put some jewelry on. I treated it like I was in the building. My experience was very different. And my recovery, same thing. My recovery, I treated it as though I was in a face-to-face meeting. When I would suggest to people, just because it's a Zoom meeting does not, for me, did not mean that my camera stayed off, because I viewed it like if I were in a face-to-face meeting, I would not be in the hallway with my ear pressed against the door. I would come in and I would sit down and have a seat. And I would really try not to be playing with my phone as much, right? I tried to treat it the same way that I would treat an in-person meeting. And that, for me, was part of practicing these principles in all my affairs, right? So practicing the principles in all my affairs allows us to somehow go through these times with optimism, with serenity, with faith, and purpose. And it really makes me think about one of the promises of a spiritual awakening, which is found in the Big Book, in the chapter Working with Others on page 100. It says this, it's one of my favorites: follow the dictates of a higher power, and you will presently live in a new and wonderful world, no matter what your present circumstance. So it's like, we don't live quite with the same responses to hard circumstances. I can somehow feel sad about a circumstance or frustrated, and yet not be enveloped in despair. It's kind of like, I say, like, we're living in the spiritual plane. I know that there's hard stuff going on at times around me, and I'm there and I'm present and I'm part of it. But there's a part of me that's sort of like floating just above the mess below. And that, I believe, like, God just gives me the ability to walk through those circumstances when I practice these principles, right? So we can take our big lumps as they come, but more difficult, it says here, are sometimes the lesser problems, the pebbles in our shoes kind of problems. And we often discover, it says, a greater challenge in the lesser and more continuous problems of life. And our answer is in still more spiritual development. So even my seemingly minor problems have the potential to do great harm if I don't look at them and use them to grow. I have a fellow in my meeting, one of the meetings, my face to face, who would always say, "Thank you, God, for another opportunity for growth." And, she would sort of say it like, ugh, but it's true. Another opportunity for growth. So if I don't look at even the small issues, if I sort of push them aside, pretend that they don't exist, like give myself a false, well, I'm okay kind of thing, they can cause great problems for me. So, my experience was I would really ignore issues. For years, I had two modes: denial or obsession. I would ignore and deny a minor problem until it grew so big that I could no longer close my eyes to it. And then it was the only thing I'd see, the only thing I could think about. And so for my minor issues, what do? I still take them through the 10th step. I still look to ask God to help me with it. So, and if I don't, then what happens is for me, if I don't address those minor problems, what happens is lots of those small issues, I'd say they're sort of like little tiny magnets, and they all sort of stick together. And then I got this one big, powerful clump. Too big for me, too strong, too big. I've got to address those small things as they come up. And so that they don't grow into something huge and overwhelming. And I would say my own experience is because I've spent so many years in denial of things, sometimes I'm slow to recognize my own feelings. It takes me a minute. Sometimes I find my response is delayed. And that seems to be a leftover character flaw, I think, that I'm working on. So, what I do is when I do recognize it's happening, I address it. Even if I say to the person, in the moment, it didn't hit me, but right now it is. And I really want to talk about it, right? There's nothing wrong with that's having humility. It's okay, right? It's okay. Um, and so I don't want my small problems to overwhelm me and grow into something huge. Okay, now page 114, we're going to talk about our instincts. As we grow spiritually, we find that our old attitudes towards our instincts need to undergo drastic revisions. Our desires for emotional security and wealth, for personal prestige and power, for romance and for family satisfactions, all these have to be tempered and redirected. We have learned that the satisfaction of instincts cannot be the sole end aim of our lives. If we place instincts first, we've got the cart before the horse. We shall be pulled backwards into disillusions. But when we're willing to place spiritual growth first, then and only then do we have a real chance. And so I was thinking about that word tempered. If my instincts, the things I want, emotional security, wealth, personal prestige, power, romance, family satisfactions, if those have to be tempered, I want to know what they mean by tempered. So tempered, if something is tempered, like glass is tempered, it means that the elasticity of it has been improved. And the process they say is by heating and then cooling. And I think about that, wow, that sounds a lot like my own feelings, my own emotions. They get heated up and then they have to be cooled, which I think why, when something upsets us, the first thing we're supposed to do is not go to figure it out. We're supposed to ask God to remove it, to help me. I think that's the cooling. That's the cooling. I can't do it by myself, right? But when I practice that, what happens is the resiliency gets improved. So that means I bounce back quicker. That something can upset me, but I don't fall apart. I don't crumble. I don't crash. I have resilience. I can bounce back. My instincts cannot own me. And we're often so incredibly concerned with our desires, right? Our emotional security, the ability to feel happy and satisfied and steady, our monetary security, our romantic security, and prestige and power. And if these are tempered, it means I have to ride the storms of not having every one of my needs met immediately and exceeded by all people at all times. And I think I have like this example of like the need to belong. For me, the social need of belonging, of being a part, right? Of being included. That was a big one for me. And it can still come up, and yeah, that's a normal instinct. It's called survival. Belonging is part of what keeps humans alive, right? Because if you belong to a family or you belong to a community, your chances of survival are increased. It's improved, right? You have people that are going to support you and help you. We're social animals. We're not solitary, right? But if I have that need that far exceeds survival, right? And it's like on steroids, that can take me down. And I'll give you an example, right? Because I want to be like transparent. Something happened at work this week where they were putting on a teacher performance. And I've been a part of it every year since I've taught. I've always just been included in it. And this year I wasn't. And my first reaction was, like took it personal, like a knife to my chest. I was so upset. Like, how am I not included? It's a performance where some of the teachers get up on stage and sing a Christmas song to the kids, and I'm not included. And I actually went to the bathroom because I could feel myself bubbling up. I asked God to remove it at once. I did it. I needed to do a 10 step because I needed to be able to sit in that performance without a sourpuss on. I did not want to have a sourpuss. And like, thank you, God, it was lessened. It was totally removed. I realized it was self-centered. It was extreme self-centeredness. I looked around afterwards and I noticed it was mostly all the new teachers. Good, it's their turn. It's their turn. Let them shine. I've been doing it for 28 years. Let the 24-year-olds be up there. It doesn't have to be me. And God like tempered it. He removed it. And that's the small stuff. Like, could you imagine that that's the stuff that could have grown like those magnets attaching to themselves? Because the rest of the day, if I didn't fix that, if I didn't let God fix that, the rest of the day, I would have looked for evidence to show me that I don't matter anymore, that I'm not important, that nobody cares about me. I don't need to do that. That is not good for me, And so God did remove it. I actually felt I was actually able to sit there and I noticed that the young woman who sort of took the spot that I always have, the specific part, first of all, they changed it. It was an entirely different thing. She shined like nobody's business. It was exactly what she should be doing. She hammed it up in a way that I would never do. And it was amazingly enjoyable for me and for all the kids. It was wonderful. You know, um, so my need to belong for survival, well, if I my needs get met, right? We're told in step 3. If I stay close to God and I perform his work well, my work was not to get on stage that day. My work was to applaud. And if my needs get met, I belong, I have a spot, right? Page 115 says this: after we come into AA, if we go on growing, our attitudes and actions towards security, emotional security, and financial security commenced to change profoundly. Yes, we change the way we hunger for status, either the status of being with the right people, the status of having money, of getting up on stage. Our demand for emotional security, for our way, our own way, had constantly thrown us into unworkable relations with other people. Though we were sometimes quite unconscious of this, the result had always been the same. Either we had to try to play God and dominate those about us, or we had insisted on being overly dependent upon them. And so it's common that we have the habit where we place unrealistic demands on people. We might make their behavior, their successes, their affections, our idols, our God, right? We worship that. And if my very happiness and sense of security is riding on the backs of how others behave, then now I'm not just in bondage to the food anymore. I'm actually in bondage to others, right? That is not freedom. The bottom of the page says this: we had refused to learn the very hard lesson that over dependence upon people is unsuccessful because all people are fallible, and even the best of them will sometimes let us down. So we cannot place over dependence on other people, right? Even the people we love, who love us, because all people will let us down. That's part of being human. People will absolutely let us down at some point. And if I spend my life dependent on people and I make their actions, their thoughts, and affections my focus, then really I'm shooting for a moving target because it won't stay the same. It's always going to be moving. So, what's my solution then? Well, page 116 says this: we would need to give constantly of ourselves without demands for repayment. And when we persistently did this, we gradually found that people were attracted to us as never before. And even if they failed us, we could be understanding and not too seriously affected. And to me, this is what it means to be tolerant. I'm not so sensitive to the behaviors and attitudes and the being let down of other people. And how is it that we're not so seriously affected? Like, how does that happen? Well, page 116 in the middle of the page answers this: because now we rely on the best possible source of emotional stability, which is God Himself. That's my emotional security. If we really depended upon God, we couldn't very well play God to our fellows, nor would we feel the urge wholly to rely on human protection and care. These were the new attitudes that finally brought many of us inner strength and peace that could not be deeply shaken by the shortcomings of others or by any calamity not of our own making. And I think this is how it is that people do not lose their sobriety and abstinence when they lose the people that they love, right? Even the people that you love with all your heart, that mean the world to you. We really have to be able to remain recovered and safe and protected, even in loss, because that's human experience, right? And our recovery has to be able to last the long haul, even through the ups and downs of being human, right? Step 12 also talks about our marriages. So here we go into the marriages and how many of us find that the steps fixes the damages and that our homes are happy, because page 117 says it's by eliminating the severe emotional twists that have so often stemmed from alcoholism, not from the alcohol, but the actual ism. Our natures are severely emotional, but when we straighten out spiritually, we also straighten out emotionally, and then we become better partners. And let's be clear that this is not an overnight affair, right? But it's the work of our lifetime. I am not every single day the best partner in the whole darn world, right? But it has made excellent progress over time. Page 118 cautions we may become so wrapped up in AA, or in our case, OA, and our new friends, that we are inconsiderately away from home more than when we drank or ate. When we see them unhappy, we recommend the 12 steps to our families, yikes, and try to teach them how to live. And I want to say that this is arrogant, and it's certainly something that I've been guilty of. And we're reminded on page 119 that realizing what our partners have endured and now fully understanding how much we did to damage them and our children, we nearly always take up our marriage responsibilities with a willingness to repair what we can and to accept what we can't. Persistently trying all of AA 12 steps in the home, often with fine results. We commence to behave like a partner instead of like a bad boy or a bad child. And, when I look at that, when I read about that, I think I had to look at my own temper tantrums, the way that I would throw myself like a child, being pouty, outrightly refusing to do my fair share of things. And, it's clear that in recovery, I had a lot of growing up to do. My sponsor, reminded me one time there's a term called king baby, right? And that was definitely something that I, you know, had to outgrow, that the steps helped me outgrow. Because nobody wants to be in a partnership, to be married to king baby, right? Someone who's emotionally immature, who pouts and throws tantrums, but demands to be the ruler, right? That's the king baby. And that is, we grow up. Recovery is about growing up. Page 119 also addresses the single people who look to have relationships with one another's in the fellowship, and were often cautioned against love at first sight. The prospective partners need to be solid in their recovery and long enough acquainted to know that their compatibility at spiritual, mental, and emotional levels is a fact and not just wishful thinking. And this also holds true for those of us, they say, who marry outside of AA. So they say it's generally a practiced rule that dating is discouraged. Now, it doesn't say it in the big book, and it doesn't say it in here, but it's a general practice that dating should hold off until the fellow has worked through the steps. Because if you think about it, if you come here and you have no recovery, you're not well, you're sick, you're not healthy. And chances are an unhealthy person is not necessarily capable of picking out a healthy partnership or bringing a healthy self into a relationship. And our relationships are not our God. And I would think before you've had a spiritual awakening, the first relationship that I'm working on building is my relationship with God. Because my relationship with God will always, always come first. You know, I heard it said as much as, and when you say that, it's like, wait, before your children, before your husband, my relationship with God comes first. Because my children and my husband, they never got me sober. And I loved them always, but God did. And I would have nothing to give my children. I would have nothing to give my marriage if not for God, if not for my relationship with God. I would have destroyed it. My marriage, I would have torn it apart and I would have taken my children down with me, right? I believe that. So yeah, my relationship with God comes first. So I would say before embarking on a brand new relationship, get your relationship with your creator in check first. And God will help you find perhaps the partner that you're supposed to be in a relationship. Page 120 talks about those that never marry and that they can be very happy and satisfied with their lives too. Can AA offer them satisfactions of similar worth and durability? Yes, whenever they try hard and seek them out. Surrounded by so many AA friends, these so called loners tell us they no longer feel alone. In partnership with others, men and women, they can devote themselves to any number of ideas, people, and constructive projects. Free of marital responsibilities, they can participate in enterprises which would be denied to family men and women. We daily see such members render prodigies of service and receive great joys in return. And so, what this tells me is that single or married, we have the same basic principle for happy lives, trying hard and seeking opportunities to be useful. And then it's going to talk about money here on page 120 to 121. Money was the symbol of pleasure and self importance. And 121 says, upon entering AA, these attitudes were sharply reversed, often going much too far in the opposite direction. Financial importance was no longer our principal aim. We now clamored for material security. So we swing from spending like crazy to major fears about money. If plagued with financial fears, we're forgetting four things. One, our abilities. It says God-given gifts and talents that we can now tap into. Two, that we have a fellowship to help us. It actually says we have a fellowship to help us find better jobs, so long as we deserve their help, right? We don't impose upon people, but you know, in many times where fellows offered one another, I've heard of it. I have a sponsee who, you know, who works as like a recruiter, and she has helped other people in recovery practice their interviewing skills, right? Those are things that we can do for one another, with one another. Career counseling and even opportunities for employment if somebody is worthy of it, right? And that three, everyone has struggles. We forgot that the actual or potential financial insecurity of every human being in the world, right? Everybody goes through those periods. And four, worst of all, we forgot God. So in money matters, we had faith only in ourselves and not too much of that. And the soul meant, of course, that we were still far off balance. When it looked like a mere means of getting money rather than an opportunity for service, when the acquisition of money, of financial independence looked more important than the right dependence upon God, we were still the victim of unreasonable fears. In these fears, which would make a serene and useful existence at any financial level quite impossible. So again, we're constantly told to put our faith in God first, our faith in God first. And the 12 steps can promise us acceptance of our financial situations. You know, we're not promised when it says fear of economic insecurity will leave us. It does not mean economic insecurity will leave us. It just means we're not going to be afraid of it, right? We don't feel like we have anything big to prove. Doesn't mean we have to take a vow of poverty either. We're certainly allowed to, seek financial well-being. Page 122, it did not matter too much what our material condition was, but it did matter what our spiritual condition was. Money, gradually, it says here, became our servant and not our master, right? We found that freedom from fear was more important than freedom from want. I think that's just beautiful. That being free of fear, right? Not afraid anymore. Another problem we're actually cautioned against is our feelings of self-importance. And page 123 talks about doctors who studied the personality traits of addicts, and they found that most of the alcoholics under investigation were still childish, emotionally sensitive, and grandiose. And, it's like we want more of our fair share than attention, fame, money, and leadership. And we're often overly sensitive. Our feelings are hurt easily and believe that we are meant to be somebody, like that feeling, I am somebody. And they say that most kids at some point believe that they could be a famous athlete, right? You ask any of the little kids in my class, they're all going to tell you that they're going to be able to play football, soccer like Messi or Ronaldo. They all tell you like they're the next Ronaldo. They're going to be the movie stars, the wealthy beyond all measures, even the president. The addict doesn't merely believe in the possibility, but often feels entitled to it, right? They go from the belief of the possibility to this sense of entitlement. And we simply had to be number one people to cover up our deep lying inferiorities. But the steps, they make us right-sized, and we get our feelings of self-esteem not by being somebody, but by helping somebody, right? That's it. Self-esteem comes from esteemable acts, being useful and of service without a badge or a medal. And I just want to, this one part through the book, still more wonderful is the feeling that we do not have to be specially distinguished among our fellows in order to be useful and profoundly happy. Not many of us can be leaders, nor do we wish to be. Service gladly rendered, obligations squarely met, troubles well accepted or solved with God's help, the knowledge that at home or in the world outside, we are partners in a common effort, the well understood fact that in God's sight, all human beings are important, the proof that love freely given surely brings a full return, the certainty that we are no longer isolated and alone in self-constructed prisons. We're free. The surely that we need no longer be square pegs in round holes, but can fit and belong in God's scheme of things. These are permanent and legitimate satisfactions of right living for which no amount of pomp or circumstance, no heap of material possessions could possibly be substitutes. True ambition is not what we thought it was. True ambition is the deep desire to live usefully and walk humbly under the grace of God. And with that, I'll pass. Thanks.